Well, I brought the bubbles.
I am a champagne virgin.
All right, so first I'm going to take the cage off.
Okay.
Do you know that's what this is called?
I did not know that.
It's intended to keep the cork in the bottle should the cork try to escape.
Would it try to escape?
Well, it is under massive pressure.
Okay.
So, yes. So, the best way to do this is to put your hand and turn slowly.
Oh!
You said you wanted to laugh, and you watched me do it and still jumped out of your seat.
I couldn't help it.
Hello, Cheers to Business listeners. I'm Ashley Smith, Vice President of Wholesale Pharmacy for DocRx. With over 10 years of experience helping doctors and their patients with diagnostic tests, patient monitoring, medical supplies, compliance, wholesale pharmacy, physician, dispensing, billing, and much more. DocRx is your patient and health compliance solution, both under one roof, and always with the mission of the patient's health first. To find out how DocRx can help you, your hospital, pharmacy, physician's offices, and any PPE you need for your businesses, please visit us at DocRx.com.
If you have something you love and you want to share it with others, then don't be afraid of a long list of to-dos and logistics to make it happen. Just start with a simple decision.
Just jump.
Just jump right in.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Today we have Miss Stacy Wellborn, who's coming back on the show to talk about, she's taken something that she loves and she's turned it into an event. And it benefits the community, local charities, small businesses, just bringing us all together to have a good time and drink some bubbles. You know, I don't know if I can get enough of the stories where people take something they love and have the passion for and they make a business out of it. Hey, I'm Karen. I'm a former CPA, entrepreneur, business consultant with big ideas.
Welcome to Cheers to Business.
Stacy Wellborn, thank you for coming back on the show.
Thank you for having me and sharing some bubbles with me.
This is a fun topic. I'm excited.
We all need some laughter these days, don't we?
I do. I need some laughter in my life.
Good.
It is medicine.
Well, I brought the bubbles.
I know. Somebody finally brought me champagne on the show. I'm so excited.
I can't believe y'all haven't had champagne on the show and
No.
all of the times you've had wine and clinking.
No, but never champagne. I have to admit that I'm honestly haven't been the biggest fan of champagne.
Okay.
And I know you are.
I am a huge fan of all things bubbles.
You are the queen of fizz.
Yes. Yes.
All right, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
I'm so excited.
Well, you know, I've seen all this stuff online and wondering what you're doing. And Fizzi Fest, that's a lot of work.
Right.
So we're going to talk about it all today. And she's going to tell us how to take something you love and then make something fun out of it.
Shall we open the bubbles first?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let's see. It might take me a second. So, all right. So first I'm going to take the cage off.
Okay.
Do you know that's what this is called?
I did not know that.
So this metal piece
I am a champagne virgin.
is called the cage.
Okay, that's
and
the
it's
cage.
intended to keep the cork in the bottle should the cork try to escape.
Would it try to escape?
Well, it is under massive pressure. So,
Okay.
yes. So, if I then, the best way to do this is to put your hand and turn slowly.
Oh!
You said you wanted to laugh. And you watched me do it and still jumped out of your seat.
I couldn't help it.
Well, here, let me
All right.
pour you some bubbles. See that smoky?
Can you hear it, Fizz? Have you always loved champagne?
You know, I honestly don't know that I recall when I first had champagne, but over the last 6 or 8 years, I guess I've really come to appreciate it. I will say and give credit to my good friend Melanie, who lives in New Orleans. She probably has been the instigator of my love of bubbles, and she joined a Mardi Gras organization that's all about bubbles, and so I have since joined as well. And, you know, I love a celebration.
Oh, yeah.
Like small, large, medium, you know, whatever it is. I love to celebrate the small milestones. I love to celebrate the big milestones. So it just fits with me and my personality. And I've been that way for 20 years about celebrating. So there's nothing better than celebrating than with bubbles. So take a look.
Here it goes. That's mighty tasty.
So that's not too sweet. It's not too dry. This is actually a Prosecco.
Okay.
So a Prosecco are Italian bubbles.
Oh.
So it's really sparkling. They're all sparkling wine. Essentially champagne, all of them are wine.
Mm-hmm.
They're all sparkling wines. And then based on where they are made is the type. So champagne can only be made in the Champagne region of France.
Really?
And there's some very specific things that they require in order to have it called champagne. There are sparkling wines in France that are made from similar grapes, just not very specifically in that region, and the very specific method. It's called Méthode Champenoise. Something fancy like that. But in Italy, they make sparkling wine. It's called Prosecco. And in Spain, it's called Cava. So
Cava.
Similar white grapes, similar process, just different region call it different things. And in the United States, we call it sparkling wine.
Okay.
Generally.
All right. Because, I've had it like a half a cup at weddings or, different things like that. But I've never gone in somewhere and ordered champagne.
My guess is the ones you've had at the weddings are probably the
Cheap.
lower end. Hopefully not Andre. I mean, Andre is a traditional grocery store sparkling wine you're probably familiar with. If you drink mimosas, Andre is perfectly fine because you're really just getting a little bit of the alcohol, a little bit of the dryness.
And
a little bit of
mimosa
bubbles.
is just champagne and orange juice.
Orange juice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Easy. And that's probably where I started with was mimosas and champagne.
I've had those.
Yeah. And so it didn't really matter the quality of the champagne. But when you start to drink individual champagnes or sparkling wines, you can start to appreciate the differences between them all.
Okay. So for the listeners today, you took something you love and you turned it into an annual event.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yes. So how do you do that? Because basically when you do that, you've made a business of something.
Yes. It is a nonprofit benefit. It is a business because I run it as part of my business, but essentially all the profit we give to the nonprofit that we choose every year. But essentially what happened was 3 years ago, a good friend of mine said, hey, let's go to this rosé festival in Atlanta. And I said, I can't go. And then she said, well, there's one in New Orleans. I said, well, I can't do that. And she goes, well, then why don't you just start one? And I said, well, okay.
The challenge is on. And throw down the gauntlet.
Essentially what happened. And then I happened to be, Johnny and I were out in West Mobile. We happened to stop in Donkey Market, met Brooke.
I love Donkey Market and me some Brooke.
She's so great. And I just said, hey, what do you think about this? And she goes, that sounds like a great idea. And then I did a quick search for like National Bubbles Day, something to look for a date that made sense. Well, the first Saturday in June is National Bubbles Day. Well, this was like May 1st when I had this conversation, almost exactly 3 years ago. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And we literally threw that first festival together in 6 weeks.
How many people were there?
About 150.
About how many do you think will be coming up?
About 175.
Okay.
We intentionally keep it small. And to your point earlier about the Pecan Festival, that's a huge event. We don't want this to be a huge event. It's meant to be a small, intimate event for people who appreciate champagne. It's not meant to be like a beer fest when you are downtown for 6 hours and drink 4,000 beers. Now, we'll have 25 to 30 different sparkling wines that you can taste. And so you're going to have a good time. I promise you, you're going to probably need to get an Uber to go home.
I don't mind those kind of parties. Now, do you get does somebody donate the wine? How does that work?
No, we unfortunately have not been able to do that, but we do get to buy it at cost through our partners. So we do pay for the wine. 2 years ago, it was brand new. Nobody knew what it was. Last year, there was the pandemic. Nobody was donating anything.
Right.
And then this year, we've set the budget so that we can make it work. If someone wants to donate wine, we would be grateful.
Well, I would think a distributorship would want to hang signs everywhere trying to get their wine out there.
Yeah.
I think that might be an avenue to go. I'm sure you've thought of that, though.
We have, and we've made those asks. Again, last year, nobody was donating any product. And so this year, we're working on that.
Because I think people are ready to get out and have a good time.
They are. And we put the tickets on sale maybe 3 weeks ago, and we sold 30% of the tickets in the first week.
That's really good because usually they're all coming at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to sell out. I have a feeling.
That's fantastic. So what are the steps? I mean, you got this down pat now. So say somebody out there loves frogs. I don't know. And they want to have a frog festival. Something they love.
Sure.
There's people that love frogs. So tell us about that. What are the steps?
Well, I'd say the first thing is your location, because that's probably going to be your largest expense, and figuring out your product of sort. So for us, the wine is the greatest expense. There are other areas we can get donated, like we try and get food donated. The band gives us a deal. Basically, we ask everybody for a deal. So, everybody's in on this, but once you get that first location, and we've been lucky all 3 years, the location has been donated. So we were grateful to the Ezell House, which hosted us the first year.
Yeah.
Crown Hall last year, and this year it's at the History Museum of Mobile.
Oh, that's going to be beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I'm so excited. The History Museum is a true partner in this. They are the host. Their event planner is on our committee and helping us plan the event, and they are the beneficiary. So the proceeds from this year will go to their exhibit they're developing for the Clotilda, which will be housed at the Africa Town Welcome Center.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
That worked out really well.
Yeah.
All right, so there's other things. Liquor license.
Well, and every year has been different because we've been different types of venues. And so, we've used a bartending partner who handled that. We used a venue that handled it. This year we've got another catering partner who's handling it. So you just look for ways to outsource and bring in the right partners to take care of certain things. I just always say, don't let a logistic keep you from doing it. Figure out a way to find the right partner. And that's what I believe we've done. Is we've really, each year, we've built a great team and a great group of partners to help us execute this event.
I was in Mardi Gras from 2005 until last year, and we'd been going to the same place every year to hold our event. Liquor license never came up. Then all of a sudden, somebody said, somebody turned us in, you got to have a way to get a liquor license. Mm-hmm. So people don't realize how much trouble you can get in without having that.
Yeah, and it can be very expensive. I think the first year we paid $1,500 just to get the license and insurance. And then because we've changed and had different types of partners, we haven't had that great of an expense, but it's certainly something we have to consider every year.
See, and people don't realize that you can get event insurance. Mm-hmm. So it just covers that event. But if you have a fundraiser before or after, or some kind of thing, you'd have to get another event policy.
Right. And the event policy is usually around $300 to $500, but that's something you have to account for.
Yeah, it's the cost of it. You can't go without it.
So once we have the location and the date, then we need to think about marketing. And
now you're an expert in marketing.
Well,
you have a doctorate.
Well, almost.
Okay.
Almost. And yes, and because this is a nonprofit event and it is a shoestring budget, we've had to get creative on that. So the majority of our marketing is done online. It's really word of mouth. So obviously the website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter even. We're active on all of those channels. The tickets are through Eventbrite, which has its own set of marketing channels.
I have a question. Do you give anybody tickets, maybe that other people follow?
Well, so we will do some trade tickets for influencers. So we actually, one of the girl who instigated this whole thing, my friend Carrie, she had a brilliant idea 2 years ago to look at local influencers. So we hosted and we will do it again this year, a pre-event preview. So 2 weeks before the event, we will host a preview event for local media and bloggers and influencers. So Ray Weinshanker with Man About Town.
Ray.
He's a great partner and he's a sponsor. He and Cammie's Old Dutch are sponsoring that because she's a member of his network. Amanda Gibson with Lemon Baby.
Oh, love Lemon Baby. All those people have been on this show.
Have they? They're all such great people.
Yes.
So they have been super helpful in helping us get the word around. And we continue to look for other influencers. There's some over in Baldwin County that we're trying to connect with because we want folks from Baldwin County
That is
to come.
so smart. I don't know anybody else doing that. Off the top of my head, they probably are, but I don't know anybody.
I think it was actually a really good idea. And again, I give credit to Carrie for that idea. And we've just implemented it for the last couple of years. But we'll do it again this year. And it's a great way before the event to get these online loudmouths, to talk about your event.
You said that. I did not.
I love them all. And that's why we love them, is they're great content generators and they have great followers and their people love them. And so if they believe in this event, then we hope that their followers will too.
All right. So what else?
Well, I will say what has made a difference for Fizzy Fest and the reason why it's been so successful and the reason we were able to pull it off that first year in 6 weeks and even last year because of all the craziness is I have a wonderful group of friends who stepped up and said, I want to be involved. I want to help. How can I help? And there's probably 8 of us. And again, that's not a big committee for putting together an event like this, but everybody's got their role, everybody does their job, and we love spending time together. So, and of course, at every meeting we have champagne. So,
You can't beat that.
It's a great meeting to attend.
I'm part of a nonprofit called Crew of Kindness. Mm-hmm. And so, back in my CPA life, I did the 501c3 things. We made it happen. And then we were holding an annual event, Mardi Gras ball for kids. Mm-hmm. And our friend Heather Peppercorn, who we miss so much, was part of that and donated the place. And I did the MC. We did all the necessary things and actually started pulling off. And again, COVID hit. Mm-hmm. But, I know Jenny and I know she's not going to let that stop her. They're actually Friday putting more mats down at Dolphin Island.
I saw that. That was such great news.
Yeah, so, to do these, they're doable, but you got to have, my point of all this is that the people on the board, the committee, whatever you want to call them, you got to have them.
That's right.
Nobody could do this by themselves.
No, and I have no illusions to that this would happen without this team. I mean, they are fabulous. I mean, Amy, Holly, Melanie, Melinda, Abby, Malcolm, Emma, Ethan. I mean, there's just an amazing tribe, I guess.
love it.
You know, that really, a lot of them will say that I get them in trouble because they hang around me too much. I'm like, well, if you stay around too long, there'll be another idea pop up. But I promise we'll have fun and we'll celebrate along the way.
I tell you what, we should hang out more because there's no telling what we could do.
That's right. Johnny might not let us do that.
Do you hear Johnny talking? I don't.
That's right.
I love it when I can make fun of him with his wife.
I'm right. I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, so who do you target? Who do you want at your event?
So I will say the price point is high. This is a $125 ticket. This year
Well, you'd have to if you don't want a lot of attendance.
Exactly. So we made that decision to do small attendance but high ticket price. So the first 2 years we did a regular ticket and a VIP ticket, and so they were $75 and $125. And this year we just decided we're just going to do the $125. We're going to keep it simple, and then everybody has access to all the wines that are available, and there's not this split in availability. So, and the museum is actually kind of a small space. It's multiple small spaces. So we're logistically working through how do we put different things in different spaces. So that's one thing that we've worked through.
So you're going to have a different theme in every room?
No, so when you walk up, there's going to be champagne on tap, which not a lot of people knew that you could get bubbles on tap, and you can. So when you arrive, you'll get a small glass of that. And then in the courtyard, we're going to have shucked oysters, a champagne cocktail bar, so mimosas, French 75, some other things like that. And then Cammie's Old Dutch is going to do
nice.
a custom ice cream with Prosecco. And then in the main hall will be where all the tastings are. So there'll be a table. The way we organize it is there'll be 4 tables, one for sparkling wines, one for champagnes, one for Prosecco, and one for Cava. So you can go and taste them. And because really, truly, where this came from is I want people like you who've like maybe had champagne in the past and didn't really have a relationship with it. You can come try 20-something different wines and find something you like. Because there are as many Chardonnays as there are, as many Merlots as there are just as many sparkling wines.
You know I'm going to go buy a ticket, right?
I would love that. That would be great. I promise you a good time.
I might not be able to go, but go get your tickets, people.
That's right. Well, you can send somebody in your space if you'd like
that's
to.
That's right. All right, so you know who you're giving the money to. Mm-hmm. So that's probably decided. I guess it's a bigger conversation because it involved a lot of venue and different things like that.
But every year we've chosen a different nonprofit. So the first year was the Mobile Arts Council. The second year was Restore Mobile, and this third year is the History Museum of Mobile. And we will look for another organization next year.
Will you put it out there so people can kind of volunteer ideas, or just the board?
Probably. Right now it's been the board, just because we also don't want to be inundated. But a lot of organizations already have events that they do.
Yeah.
But because this is a small group and it is volunteer time, we want to do something we're passionate about. And so that's honestly the priority in selecting the nonprofit.
Yeah, and it should be. I mean, I think it should be. But what are you guys about?
Right.
All right, so what kind of timeline do you have to have? What do you start first? You know it's coming up, like for this year. You've been through it before. What's the first thing you do?
So locations first, then dates, because we actually had a date earlier in the spring, and we decided to push it back, again, because things weren't quite ready. I think it was the end of April, and we could have done it end of April, but I think early June, people are definitely more going to be ready, as you said earlier, to get out and participate in events, more vaccines and such. So early June. And ironically, the first year it was the first Saturday in June. And the second year we're like, oh, we're going to do it in April because people like events in April. Well, then there was the COVID. And so we pushed it to June, and we were able to get it in June. And this year we were like, okay, let's try April. We tried again, and we're like, okay, no, and we're back to June. So it will always be the first Saturday in June. I'm not changing that again.
Well, it should be on National Bubbles Day.
Yes.
Speaking of which, might I have some more?
Yes, please. Let's
It's rather tasty.
I like it. It's so refreshing, isn't it?
It is. Hear the fizz? Oh, there we go. Now we can hear it. It's fun.
It is. It makes you smile, doesn't it?
It did make me smile. It's nice to smile. All right, so you got your location down. You got who's the beneficiary is. What's next?
Well, next we went to band, and again, we've been lucky. We've used the same band all 3 years. It's a band called Swing Jazz, and they have this wonderful female singer, and it just fits the venue. I mean, it is kind of a high-end, you're spending $125. We want you to dress in your, brightest colors or your white linens and come and dance and enjoy food. And it's a bubbles and brunch type of event. So there's brunch food, there'll be oysters, there'll be cheese and chocolates, and anything that goes well with champagne is what we're going to have on the menu. So jazz music. The other thing I guess we haven't talked about is there is a silent auction. So we will have a 20 to 30 item silent auction, and all of that money goes directly to the nonprofit. So that is one way that they can help us, is to develop the silent auction. Anybody listening, if you would like to donate to the silent auction, that would be super. Just go to fizzyfest.com and send us an email, and we would love to feature some local businesses and local artists and, help raise some more money for the Clotilda exhibit.
Okay. You want a crocheted blanket?
Yes, that'd be great.
That's all I got.
You know what you could make?
What's that?
You could make a champagne bottle koozie.
Oh, I can't do that.
That would be fun.
Okay.
Because can't you make a little sock?
Yeah, I can make socks. So now I've got to go get a bottle of champagne so that I can know what size to make it. Okay.
You can do it. That'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you. No, that would be super. Yeah, I would encourage you when you go to the store next, maybe try a cava. So we tried a Prosecco today. You've had sparkling wine. Try a cava, and it's a Spanish sparkling wine.
I'm going to break a window in my house. You know that.
That's right. Be careful. Always point the bottle away from eyes, glass, and light bulbs.
Okay. Have you ever busted something?
I've not, fortunately, but I will say last Thursday here at Container Yard, one of the interns opened a bottle, and he didn't cover it up, and it shot straight up towards the top of the container. Thank goodness it's solid metal, but it scared the living bejesus out of everybody because it was like a shotgun. I mean, they're under significant pressure, so you do want to be careful. Oh, there's also, if you get really adventurous, there is a thing called Sabering champagne bottles. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So you have to essentially freeze the bottle, and then you literally, and nobody at home can see this, but I'm going to show you. You hold the bottle, and you, of course, direct it away from anybody. And so when the cork is in the bottle, so before you've taken the cork out, you take a knife, and it's about a 12 to 14-inch knife, and you slide it on the neck of the bottle, and then you hit it right at the neck here, and it pops the top of the bottle.
Can you do that?
I don't know yet how to do it, but for Christmas, Johnny gave me a sabering knife, so I need to practice.
Johnny for the win.
My friend Melanie knows how to do it, and she came the first year and did it at the event, and I'm hoping that she'll be able to come this year and be our in-house saberer, I guess, is how you say that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat to see. You can Google it.
So you got your date, you got your band, you got your food, you got your all that normal stuff, you got your champagne. When do you put the tickets out?
We try to put them out about 8 weeks in advance.
Is there a magic to it of how soon?
People ask that all the time about all kinds of events. And I also am involved in a bourbon event and some other things. And typically people in this community don't buy tickets till the very last minute. I think one of the benefits of COVID that's going to come out is people are actually buying tickets in advance because now there's this limited number of tickets, because of distancing and all the things. So that's why I think we've already sold 30% of our tickets.
Supply and demand.
Exactly. I think that's something you have to be aware of. But, 6-8 weeks generally for people around here, it's fine.
All right. So you know what the budget should be.
Yes, we work, basically, we set it with, okay, well, if we're going to sell 125 tickets for $125, that's my revenue. And then we back out the expenses and try and say, okay, well, this is how much money we want to raise. Then the silent auction goes 100% to the nonprofit.
It's just a bonus.
So whatever we can do to get trade or donated or discounted, whatever we can do towards that main budget, all that money is going to go, any kind of profit we make will go to the nonprofit.
You have to front the budget though, right?
I do.
So
right.
you do that?
Yep.
Yep.
So that's why I did it under my business. So I'm able to run all that revenue and all those prices through there. But it is a bit of a bookkeeping challenge because it is all under one business account. And I don't have a separate nonprofit account. That might be something we do in the future.
It does. It makes it a lot easier. But also what you can do is if you use QuickBooks, use classes, and then you can have a profit and loss by class. But so if you have different divisions of your company,
okay,
or locations but if you, in online QuickBooks, you have to turn it on.
Okay.
It does ask you in the desktop, which hardly anybody has anymore. But you go into your settings and you say to allow classes. So you could have classes for, like, if you had 5 different events.
Okay.
Or, you may have 5 different things that your business does.
I learned something new today.
Well, good.
I appreciate
I'm glad
that.
I could help.
That was something I've been struggling with, so I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah. Turn on classes in QuickBooks.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, good. This was mutually beneficial.
It
I got
was.
champagne and you got a QuickBooks class.
That's right. Thank you.
All right. So how would you sum this up?
If you have something you love and you want to share it with others, then don't be afraid of a long list of to-dos and logistics to make it happen. Just start with a simple decision.
Just jump.
Just jump right in. And don't go too big, right? I mean, that's one of the things that we did. We started small. Let's test the waters. The first year we had 100, 125 people. The second year we had 150, 160 people. And this year we'll have about the same. And we've said, hey, let's just stay at that level. We don't need this to be a big, massive event.
It's manageable.
It's manageable. And this is just a fun thing to do. Now, I do have a bit of a vision for it to be a franchised event all around the country. I mean, I think it's got that kind of legs to it. But right now, we're happy to do it right here in Mobile. And if we decide to grow it, then we will.
All right, so now you've made everybody thirsty and excited to go to this event. How do they get tickets? Where do they go?
The easiest thing is to go to fizzyfest.com. And what's interesting is Fizzy, Fizzi. So we have a little bit of a different spell, fizzyfest.com. Also, they can go straight to Eventbrite and search for Fizzy Fest.
So what if they have questions or want to partner up with you? How do they get in touch with you?
There's an email address through the website. It's bubbles@fizzyfest.com.
Of course it is.
We're Facebook. We're on Facebook and Instagram as well. And so certainly reach out to us. I check all of those and would love partners to come and enjoy us. Oh, I forgot one thing.
What's that?
The Battle House Hotel has signed up to be a partner.
Nice.
And so we have a block of rooms for a great rate. I think it's $139 for the Friday night before or the Saturday of. If you want to come downtown and make a staycation out of it, come and have a girls' night or a date night or whatever. Do maybe Friday night in the hotel and Fizzy Fest Saturday morning, or come do Fizzy Fest and then stay in the hotel Saturday night.
Shout out to the Battle House. I've never stayed there.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
It's pretty fancy.
They got a pretty cool spa, too, don't they?
They do. Well, in fact, the whole committee has decided we're going to go to the spa after Fizzy Fest. So.
Nice.
So everybody come join us on Saturday, June 5th, 11 to 2 at the History Museum for Fizzy Fest 2021. And then head over to the Battle House Spa with us.
So why 11 to 2? I'm curious.
Because we want to do brunch specifically. And I'll be honest, we started at 10 o'clock last year and people were 3 sheets to the wind by noon. Yes. So I was like, let's start a little bit later. And some folks then, went on to some other bars downtown. And part of it is we want you to go and experience other restaurants and support other restaurants downtown on Saturday afternoon.
Schnockered.
That's right. That's why you should get a hotel room at the Battle House or pre-book your Uber.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
Pretty soon, Johnny will have to do a best of Lady Wellborn.
That'd be fun.
Please be sure to subscribe to Cheers to Business podcast on iTunes or anywhere else that you get your podcast. Visit our Facebook and be sure to give us a like. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to discuss, shoot us an email from the website cheerstobusiness.com.